So how are we, Milan? What's new for you?
All good, studying.
Studying,
Um,
yeah. Have you got
yeah,
have you got anything lined up?
I've got a couple of uni projects. We're doing genre films. I've got a musical and a dark comedy because I'm helping out on two projects.
Right, nice. What about so you uh, are you is it similar to Richard's kind of thing?
I'm doing cinematography this time, so I'm the DOP, which
Are you DOP?
should be pretty fun because
Yeah.
I've never done that, but I love camera stuff. So
Aye. Well, you're experiencing every kind of sector, aren't you? So at this point,
yeah, I'm just trying to do everything. I'm just missing doing like sound design. That's probably the only thing that I haven't done. But apart from
and
that, I've
design.
done, yeah, I've done
Aye.
basically every role.
Sounds probably the one area that I don't think I'll ever kind of go down, if I'm honest with you. But
Sound,
um, I don't know. It's just that kind of technical side of it, isn't it? Like for me, I love love behind the camera. I love all that kind of stuff. But I feel like I need. I guess that's why I'm a director. But like as I'm just telling everyone to kind of put this frame here, put it just exactly how I like it, and we're good to go, basically. So, like,
yeah, that's fair enough. Like I just figure like while I'm at uni, I just it's better to just get every technical skill that you can get and then go out, in the
yeah, that's
industry.
true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I think if you're a complete filmmaker, I think it's actually very important that you do like kind of experience all that side into it, like because you can then in the long run, if you need to fill in and all the rest of it, then it will help big time, So, but
Yeah, definitely. Like if I want to direct in the future, then now I have all this. I know a bit of everything. You know what I mean? I can kind of coordinate everything better. All together. Kind of know also. I can give my input by knowing what I'm talking about in every
yeah,
different sector.
yeah, no, I no, that's true. I mean, I think that with yourself and when we worked the last time, it was you all had something to do. Do you know what I mean? And you were all fantastic at it as well. Actually, like I must admit, like you absolutely surprised me with like how enthusiastic you were and like just how on time you were as well. Like you basically just knew what you were doing from the get go.
Yeah, I mean that film we kind of had a lot of difficulties because equipment booking was kind of a nightmare. So we had different sounds for different days, and then we had some stuff with the camera.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was kind of like difficult to put a film together. I'm actually pretty proud of like the final result. It wasn't the best, like sound wise. We have definitely major issues, but we managed to overcome a lot of like technical difficulties, especially in post production. And that was kind of rough, but learning experiences.
well, that's always funny enough. Me and Liv were talking about learning experiences yesterday and how we done a fundraiser yesterday and how like you could be doing with like more hands on the job. But like kind of, I felt like we were kind of understaffed to some extent to try and get a crowdfunder done and all the rest of it. And you just, as you say, it's a learning experience. And when I came into my first feature film, you just don't realise how much cast and crew, well, not cast but crew you need behind the scenes because it's not just like lifting up a single camera and just kind of getting it done, is it? So
Um, it's actually pretty amazing how you managed to get all that machine going. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I think I must admit I'm pretty lucky. I'm a lucky guy when it comes to Jacob Tyler. I must admit, like met so many incredible people like yourself to kind of help me out, and uh, Dan Franklin. I can't stress enough just how much of a help he's been, and he's worth spending the budget on because he produces some absolute amazing stuff. And like, and that's the thing. Like, I think what was actually more important about it as well is that when I was doing Jacob Tyler, a lot of people thought it was a college project. It was, or either just like a very silly amateur film. But when they seen the footage and seen the trailer and all the rest of it, then they just realise, oh, right, okay, right, this guy's onto something. He's actually taking it serious and all the rest of it. And it's like, and do you feel that yourself? Like, I feel like we live kind of in a generation at times that when people look at film, it's all like a fantasy to some extent for them to like, you know, achieve a certain thing.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I had to go away from my country because there the industry is not considered like as a valuable job occupation at all.
Yeah.
We don't even have a degree in film. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, today is just like, it's not, people don't realize how much work, because I didn't even realize how much work went into making films, and I'm a passionate guy about films.
Yeah.
But there are millions of people that just consume the product without thinking about how many people are actually involved. Because if we're being fair, when credit roll at the end of the movie, we're all just up and leaving. So we like, because they literally last for 5 minutes. That alone should tell you how much valuable people are to making films.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I mean, I think that we're all blind to some extent when you first come into film, because, like, see, when I was young, I always watched special features, and, like, you know, my obsession was to watch a film and then get to know about the film. So, like, Back to the Future, or, you know, Prisoners and all the rest of it. I always watched, you know, the special featurette, and, you know, you're kind of blind to think, well, look how many people are behind those scenes and making that film. So it's like, yeah, and now you're kind of coming into this film, like, making your own film, realizing that, oh, okay, right, maybe it's time to get money in my pocket and see what I can do, because, like, you need more recruitment and you need more, you know, people helping you out. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah, it's definitely an effort. Like, at the end of the day, it drains you because you're working for like 12, 13 hours a day. You know what I mean? I mean, we do it because we like it, but it's time consuming. It's, you know, it's hard on the body. People don't know like how much work goes into actually making movies. They
yeah,
just
it's
think
crazy.
that it's just like, you know, get a camera and, you know, there's just no perception, which is fine. I mean, in the end, it's like, if you see a good film, in theory, they say that you shouldn't be able to see the mechanical part behind it. You know what I mean? So it's all
Yeah,
good.
no, that's true. I mean, I think that, you're spot on there. Like, a lot of people who have been in this project, especially, I'm not naming any names or anything, but I think a lot of people got took by surprise by just how long of a day it can be and how draining it can be, and, like, you know, like, to kind of get it done. But at the same time, like, you've got a responsibility yourself to kind of follow a schedule. And for a long time, we had a full week of filming Jacob Tyler during last summer without a schedule, and it's not ideal. You know what I mean? Like, I was saying, right, we'll go to this location first and we'll film these scenes, but you don't realize how much time these scenes take. You know what I mean? It's
You
just
know, but
crazy.
also you need a figure that is able to overstep in like time scheduling wise, because otherwise, you know, directors, cinematographers, they, you know, as long as you don't get the perfect take, you just keep going, which is
Yeah,
not doable. Sometimes you just have to be happy with what you got, and
you
that's
have to
when.
wing it, don't you? Like, you kind of
Yeah,
have to.
exactly,
Yeah, you have to
exactly.
kind of wing it to some extent, because I mind the first film day of Jacob Tyler, when it was just me, Abby, Daniel. This was Trust and Paul Morris at the time. I was so nervous, like, to kind of get started. Do you know what I mean? Like, because obviously it means so much to me to kind of to get us started and all the rest of it, but you just don't really kind of know how the day is going to pan out, and you don't really like, do you know what I mean? You're just kind of worried if anything goes wrong and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, because like directing wise, people say like you don't have you kind of have to be a jack of all trades, but also like you are the guy that is most responsible on set. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
that's true.
like you can feel that responsibility,
Yeah,
definitely, especially when it's a project that is so dear to you and kind of personal. You know, you
yeah,
want everything to be perfect, and sometimes I guess you don't have to like overthink in those terms. Sometimes, you know, we just have to embrace the mistakes and understand that they can actually be helpful in the long run, and even in the short run, maybe you can get some effects that you didn't expect from actually making mistakes. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's true. I mean, I think that um, it's like you said, with like having my name mostly on the project itself, especially like being an actor, director, takes a wee bit of its toll because you're doing so many things, but also it's when 5, 6, 7 people are sometimes asking you a question at one time, and then you're like, oh God, right, okay, I'll get back to you on that one, I'll get back to you on that one, and then it's like, oh my God, right, this is where like on the day you just have to be so prepared and ready for anything. Do you know what I mean? Like it's I mind the wake up call was the week because I realised that actually I think the wake up call was we done some fight scenes at this abandoned location, and I said to myself, right, now I need to kind of hit the nail on the head and say that, right, okay, everyone's got their role and everyone needs to understand their role, and going forward from there. And I feel like since then it's gradually kind of gotten better. Do you know what I mean? Having a person for each side of the teams and all the rest of it, it's just it takes a lot of weight off your shoulder. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess my approach to directing has always been like, you have to, since a lot of people rely on you, you kind of have to give the impression that you're confident, like whatever is the situation, and that you have an idea of what you're doing, even if you don't have an idea of what you're doing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's kind of like a
you
lot of
fake it till
people.
you make it, don't you?
Yeah, it's a lot of people managing skills for sure.
Yeah,
Because if you cannot be the director and say, I have no idea what we're doing right now. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Yeah,
Or it's like there's a huge problem. You can't just freak out. For example, we're doing a scene recreation for uni, and like we I think we started filming at 3 p.m. and it was like midnight, and we still had to like get the lightings right for like scenes and all. And then at that point, you yourself, you're just like, I just want to get it done. But on the other side, you know that like you can, if you push yourself a little bit more, then you can arrive to that result, and you're gonna have to be
yeah,
the sort of like support also for the team, because it's like you can be the sort of the glue of the whole group. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, for sure. Because I mind that that's 100% true. I mean, like I think that um, with But I think that was actually what I was going to come down to. Like, what would you say is probably like the most like stressful part, or like the hardest part about filmmaking?
Uh, I would say it's definitely that it's a sort of art that comes with experience. You know what I mean? It's a lot like practice based. You cannot just like study the formulas or study the theory and you're gonna be good at it. It's not like
Yeah,
school, you just like you study and you're gonna be good. Like you have to put passion, you have to put literally like your soul into what you're doing in order to make something significant. And I'd say that's the most difficult part, is like always have to believe in yourself even if you fail, because it's something that it's new for a lot of people. So like when you first approach it, you're not going to be as good as you want. And sometimes I feel like I'm not going to be as good. I'm never going to be as good as I want to be. But sometimes I feel like I have to watch back, I have to look back at before and just like understand how much more I've learned about what I'm
yeah,
doing rather than focusing on how much I don't know yet, you know?
Well, it's a cliche, is it not? Like to say that a lot of people say that like it's much more important to learn what you done wrong than to what you done right. Because if you keep looking at the right stuff, you're kind of in a consistent bad kind of loop of like because at the end of the day, like you'll obviously like you have a lot of good in this film, but like there's a lot to kind of work on as well, like from certain aspects. And for me, I don't necessarily think that for me when I have that equipment, when I have that team behind me, I believe that I can put a good picture to the screen, to the frame. But having the time, the preparation, and all the rest of it is 100% key in my opinion.
Yeah, no, but it's like cliches are cliches because they're true. I mean, it's just like you have to have the humility to understand and to accept your mistakes and then actually learn from them. So that the next time you'll know what you've done that it didn't work, and then you're not gonna do it again, or maybe you can evaluate the situation better before taking a decision, because we know that sometimes we have to make loads of rash decisions because time on set is kind of money, so you cannot like be there, and sometimes we make a lot of mistakes. It's fine, and as I said before, sometimes these mistakes are like lucky mistakes, so they can lead to something that actually works in the film. Sometimes they're not, and you just kind of have to learn from them. Otherwise, you cannot just like beat yourself up because you made mistakes. We're not perfect, So
100%. Nah, totally. I would say you hit the nail on the head there, but I think that, yeah, like I mean, for me, as literally just going back, like kind of repeating myself here, but literally just from day one to day two to day 3, 4, and 5, you kind of because it's my first ever feature film and all the rest of it. It's and you don't realize how long it actually takes to make such a project. Like, I say to everyone, yeah, we've only got 30% left, but that 30% is huge. Do you know what I mean? Like, and huge, and like still quite a while to do. And the time and investment towards it can be a big stress. But it's using it wisely. Do you know what I mean? Like using it all wisely and trying to find the right kind of formula, if you like.
Yeah, but that's what like, going back to your question before, what I find like most difficult about filmmaking. Sometimes like when you do this project, there's like this time consuming and this like really wear you out, and then you have to like, I feel like one of the most difficult thing is kind of like not fall out of love with the craft itself.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's always like you develop an idea, you make that, you get funds or whatever, you start like, you have all the pre-production, then you have all the production, then you have all the post-production, then you have to see like everything goes well with like distribution and all, and then you just like, you go back for the start. I mean, you love it, but like in the moment, like sometimes when you finish, you're just like, you breathe,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sometimes
Yeah. You feel like making something like this that you don't breathe at all, like literally. And then I like honestly, I don't think I've properly breathed in a long time, to be honest with you. And still, my head is like the monkey playing the big drums and that, just like going in an absolute
but
circle, just
that's
because you're still, But yeah, what we were leaving off, you were saying, sorry, like from the last.
yeah, no, that's fine. Now I was saying like all these all the difficulties you can find is always like a question of like challenging yourself in a way. So like we're doing this project that we're doing a musical, so basically it's just been like, I think this is the second week that we're planning it, and it's just been like thing after another because we have to get a composer for the music, because it has to be original score for copyright, and then we have to get that in time to don't know if you remember Kushal, but he's doing the choreographies So he has to prepare a choreography.
He's good at that.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
And then the actors have to learn the choreographies, and then we have to shoot the film itself. So we have to make all the rehearsals, you know. And so it's gonna be a couple.
Was this the project you were telling me about before? I think we talked about it. It was either when we were filming Jacob, or it was actually might have been for Sir Nick Rich as well.
Don't remember. I've actually done a lot of stuff this summer, so it might be just one that I've made this summer, the one that I was talking about, because this one is kind of new, because it's basically for the unicorns. We're making, you know, genre films, and we decided to make a musical because we said, you know, why not? Just
Because we can
get this challenge, you know. Well, because at this point it's just like we can allow ourselves to make mistakes. So we just want to enjoy ourselves and, you know, like have a great time, even though it's going to be very stressful.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that I've realised myself that, like, when you make films like that kind of situation, as long as you're kind of driven and like kind of it's something that you're passionate about, I think it's always going to end up a pretty decent, you know, project and stuff. Like, I actually wanted to ask you a question as well with like about that, like when it comes to being passionate and stuff. Like, I think I had an idea of like what the whole thing was with Richards and all the rest of it, but who was this originally one of your kind of like for a uni film and that, were you always wanting to tell a story like it?
You mean this project?
Richards, when the one we worked on.
The one that I worked on with you, or just like in general?
The one I acted in with you.
Okay, yeah. So that wasn't my script. That was written by another group member that then basically just had decided to drop out of the course. But what I feel is like every project that we make kind of becomes our own in a way. You know, you kind of put a bit of yourself into that, even if, you know, whenever you're passionate and all. So I would say that it's not just uni projects, of course. It's just like they just become something that then you get invested into, because otherwise it's too much. It's too much work, you know. It's just like if you're not passionate, just you're not gonna be able to make it, because that's
100%.
Yeah, you need to be. You need to be driven.
I think so, mate, and I try and tell a lot of people that come into the project, and you know, the people that I think sometimes when you talk a big game with telling everyone about the, you know, the project itself and all the rest of it, they always love, you know, the idea, but the stuff behind, you know, the hard work behind it and the long hours and all the rest, sometimes they're just not ready for it. And yeah, I mean, I remember when I was an extra for Churchill, I had no idea that it was going to be 13 hours for the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was crazy. But and it was the fact that it was 13 hours for them to just only do 2 scenes. Do you know what I mean? And thinking, wow, like, how are people doing this just as an extra? You know what I mean? So, and I don't mind doing extra work, but for me, if you're not prepared for that on that day, then it's, you know, you've got a long day ahead of you, and it's not something that's really it might not be for everything.
Yeah, but because the thing is, and it's also like a question of keeping everyone involved. Like, if you don't have one of the sort of like major roles, if you want to call them that way, the game set is very long. It's like 13 hours sometimes. Like, even I imagine for actors, I mean, when you're not acting in a scene, you just have to wait for your scene, you know, to be the one that it's being filmed. But I've done some PA work, and then it's that is very hard, because you don't have like a creative input. You're just like the sort of like hand labors, you know, just like the ones that actually make things happen, if we're being honest, because if you didn't have them, you couldn't do anything. But it's just difficult. It's difficult to stay involved without like having your input, or like it's difficult to stay motivated for 13 hours. And
exactly. It's difficult to keep everyone
high.
amused. It's amused and all the rest of it. Because like, I mean, for me, realistically, one of the scenes in Jacob Tyler, I've no idea how I'm actually going to get around to it, but getting 30 people for a fight scene, do you know what I mean? So like, it's crazy, do you know what I mean? So maybe even more than 30, but we want to try and get as many people involved as we can to just, you know, in this one big fight scene. And it's with such a low budget, you can't promise anything, do you know what I mean? So like, it's a bit of a kind of head knock, that's for sure.
How did you, like, where did the idea come from to make the feature?
To make Jacob Tyler?
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? I'm glad someone's asked that, because, you know, I've not really been put on the spot yet, apart from, you know, the random people I talk to, like at the golf club and all the rest of it, when it comes to actually, like, when they ask me that question. And just a quick thanks to Jordan, by the way, because he had a nice wee comment there. Thanks, Jordan. Had a nice fundraiser yesterday. We've raised quite a good bit of money for the film, so which was good. So, but my main thing for the film, it was like I was a bully victim growing up, and I feel like I was always a individual that kind of got left out and not kind of seen as a serious, like, wasn't taken serious enough and all the kind of stuff. So it didn't feel good. So it made me kind of, you know, not that. Nico's talking in Italian for you.
Yeah, I've seen.
He says he would do that. So, but for, not getting taken serious and all the rest of it. So it's kind of, it was hard to take and hard to accept. And as I grew older, my love and passion for film, when you watch these kind of certain individuals, like, you know, like, not even James Bond, but like, you know, the James Bond, the Jack Reachers, the main dominant characters in film, they gain respect. But to some degree, I always kind of saw myself as like my two favorite comic characters are like Bruce Wayne and Peter Parker. But when it comes to it, I feel like I relate more to Peter Parker, if you know what I mean, because once he puts that mask on, he's gained the respect, but when he's got the mask off, he doesn't really gain that much respect, and he's got a very small circle of friends, and I feel like that's always been kind of one thing of mine. So when I started writing the script and thinking about all my bad memories of the bully and everything that I remember that was very bad, it made me think, right, you know what, I'm going to write a story that I think that what would I have done if I had the power to do so, but in a wee bit of an unrealistic way. But because at the same time, the guy, you know, he goes out and does vigilante work, you know, and I think me and Nico were actually talking about this, like, don't call me crazy or anything, but like, it's like you look at all the, you know, the horrible stuff in the world and all the rest of it, and you feel like you just want to do something about it. So I think that is like a love letter to that kind of side of things, like, and how you would try and kind of give back to the world. And this is how he kind of gives back to his small town. Do you know what I mean? So, and obviously the main bully of the film was from mannerisms and behaviourisms from a certain individual that I knew when I was younger. Very troubling guy. So it's that's exactly why I wanted to make it. But it was a question of when. But then I said to myself, right, okay, this has to happen after I watch Prisoners, because when I watched Prisoners and I watched the likes of like top quality action films that you could name so many examples of, I said, right, I need to make something real, and I need to make something like I think that's all I have to say about it. Like, real, like, it needs to, the fighting can't be over the top. The dialogue has to be simple and real. because in the real world, when you look at film, sometimes it's actually not that deep. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially growing up in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to capture that kind of Scottish vibe that, you know, there is gossip there and all the rest of it. You know, I capture that, but when it comes to just basic dialogue, it's, you know, I think that's where I'm starting to kind of understand, and this is where, you know, the kind of, not just the audience, the critic side of things are kind of looking for. You know what I mean? So, because you don't get much of that anymore, do you? So.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, whenever I write something, I'm just like, I'm always questioning, like, does the dialogue actually sound, you know, real? Because you're with yourself, like, you know, you see the story kind of playing in your head, but you don't know how other people will respond. Like, you can even like read it out loud, and what happens to me is just like every time that I have an idea, there's like a little voice inside of me that is just like, nah, this idea is it's not good. It's not worth, you know, writing about. But sometimes you just have to push yourself and just like, just write, just again pick up a camera, like do whatever, just like make mistakes. Because you know, if you don't, it's better than not doing anything. You know what I mean? And just like complaining, I wish I was that better, or I wish you see all the successful people, like the successful filmmakers, they didn't come from you know, from nothing.
Exactly. I mean, and you know what? There's not a single there's not a single filmmaker that's not made a bad film. You know, if you think about it, because I thought, in my opinion, Christopher Nolan was unstoppable. He was untouchable. He was, you know. And I still, to some extent, think that way. But then I watched Tenet, and I was like, you know what? Like, you've made so many great films up to this point. Tenet, I just thought, like, a lot of people liked it, but I just felt like
it's not like
you can't compare. Film.
You can't compare that to like the Dark Knight trilogy or like the
Inception.
Interstellar.
Yeah. Like they're just different breed, are they? Aren't they?
Yeah, but again, you see how even these people get exposed to like failure in sort of way. I always think of like Martin Scorsese is one of my favorite filmmakers, and he made one of the projects that he made. He always tells that it was actually very dear to himself. It was just like I think it was called The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yep.
But he made it in a period when it was not understood by the public and was considered blasphemous. And you have to understand that he had to like take the hit and then just like recover, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you see like even these people just like the only thing that you can see in common of all these people is just like the love for cinema. So you have to think that, you know, if you have that and you're willing to put in the work, you know, you're gonna reach that level as well.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It was actually one of the questions I was going to go into, and who is actually like, what one filmmaker would you thank today, and who's actually inspired you the most to become a filmmaker?
You know what? It's such weird because like it's such a recent film and a recent filmmaker of sorts. But I gotta say that I gotta thank Damien Chazelle probably.
All right.
He's the director of Whiplash and La La Land and like First Man.
Amazing.
I just remember the night that I went to watch La La Land at the cinema. It was just like a magical experience. I know it sounds like a bit, you know, like cheesy and all, but
definitely not.
You know, you just experience the magic, and then just like for a second, it just hits you. You know what I mean? You just like it stays with you for like. I remember it stayed for me for like months, for weeks. You know what I mean? And then I was just like, because for example, in high school, I used to study a lot, and I remember just like studying all day just to wait for like the weekend, because I would go to the cinema with my parents, with my friends. You know, I just, you know, went every weekend, watch all the films, just watch the Oscars. You know, staying up until like 5 a.m. because in Italy you get like
exactly, yeah.
You
know? And see, this is where we can relate just so much, and I think that there's no surprise there, because and why we've kept in touch for so long now, and I just wanted you in my film because I was like, you know what, I see something in him, and I'm like, he shares the same raw passion for me, and I was like,
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And he was like, I was like, yeah, this guy literally speaks my language, even though we're different nationalities and all the rest of it. But like literally, we speak film, and we we don't we didn't go to film school. I mean, you do, but to some extent, we went more to film, and that's what Quentin says. I think that with what you just said there, my biggest um, like excitement in life at some point when I was a kid was just to go to the cinema, and it's like there's just certain films that I think to myself, right, okay, people actually make films. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's like, oh, and this is what I want to do because we've all loved movies growing up, but we just don't realize that like how achievable making something can be. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, that's what
yeah,
I was saying before about like, not falling out of love with the industry, because you first experience being a viewer and you just feel all the magic, and then you realize how different it is to actually make that thing. For
yeah,
like how passionate you can be, it drains you literally, just like
it
you have
actually
no
does.
energy. And it kind of changes your relationship with films in a way, because like
Yeah,
the way you watch films before entering into that industry and into that, sort of like practical filmmaking, and the way you see them after is just like very, very different, at least in my opinion. Like sometimes I remember like when I was younger, I was just like, couldn't wait to just go and watch a movie, you know what I mean? Just like one after like every night, if I had the chance, like I didn't have society, I just like went
yeah,
and popped up a movie. But like right now,
yeah,
sometimes I arrive like at night, and I'm just like, I just literally can't, you know what I mean? I just like, I have to take
yeah,
my mind off of it for a while,
yeah.
because
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just, you're just tired. But then you're
Yeah,
still fueled by that passion. It's just the passion that transforms,
that's
because
it.
you go
I
from consumer to like artist itself, and
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's a difficult relation. It's a love and hate relationship sometimes. But
It's funny because like Quentin Tarantino once said, right, that the year I make movies is the one year I see the least amount of films. And I think I can understand that so much because, like, see, when I'm going for a phase that when I have my wee break with Jacob, and then like kind of that's when I kind of unleash my kind of inner child to just go to the cinema and appreciate great, good, bad film. Do you know what I mean? Just because the amount of effort even for a bad film can be. Do you know what I mean? Like even for a horror movie, I don't think there's necessarily many bad horror films. I think that they're struggling with it, in my opinion. Like I think they're struggling to make good horror films these days for certain reasons and all the rest of it with cheap jump scares and that. But it's like for me, yeah, like
well,
you sometimes have no
that's
time for it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're so
yeah,
busy investing in your own. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
crazy.
But the thing about making like struggling about making interesting films is just like how the sort of like genres evolve. They rely on tropes, and you have to subvert them, and you have to like keep coping with what the actual situation is, and it's difficult. Like if you think about it, it's just like more than 100 years that cinema's been around, and the technical leap that we've made the past 20 years is just like crazy. And it's difficult to make an original thing today, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The
um,
original side of things are really hard to like. I'd like to say that Jacob Tower's original, but it's honestly it's based off like it's inspired by a lot of stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, I mean, of course you make it original in your own way, like everything gets different, but everything is being like referencing other things. I mean, you mentioned Tarantino before. He always says that he steals from every great movie he watches,
exactly, and this is why I try and stress with people in my film if they realize a certain thing, and I'm like, well, yeah, it shows that every filmmaker does it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's not because you're stealing their idea. It's actually more you need to you need to realize that we're actually appreciating the the quality of film. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like you wouldn't be stealing from the movie if you didn't think it was a good idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like even the world today is like it's so globalized and like interconnected, you know what I mean? It's just like you cannot avoid to be influenced by other things. It's not like in the early years, you know, like everyone has its own industry and you can develop certain styles. Like right now the style is just like that again, it's a thing of evolution. It evolves continuously, but yeah, it's just like commercial stuff, not commercial stuff. Now you have all the streaming platforms. It's difficult to like emerge. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, definitely. I think, in my opinion, to some extent, he's not 100% original, but he's. I think that uh, my the thing I was going to go on to is like my favorite filmmakers and all the rest of it, but this kind of there's a wee bit of it. Jordan Peele, for example, I feel like is as original as it gets these days when it comes to horror, because when I watched Nope recently, I don't understand the criticisms with it because, in my opinion, you see stuff in that film, you see certain shots, and you see certain things that you've never seen before. Do you know what I mean? And I just like with Get Out, there's no ghosts, there's no monsters, there's no anything. I believe that sometimes the scariest thing in the world is real people, and with that, how that could happen to anyone. Do you know what I mean? And like how it's quite a a kind of nerve wracking film, isn't it? Like, and I think that's why it's considered like a ridiculously good horror film.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Nope. I appreciated it. I didn't understand it that much at the time that I watched it. I had to like reflect a little bit on it. Watch a couple of video essays too. Always useful. But
We're just the same guy, mate. We're just the same guy.
I mean, yeah, it's just like it kind of is a genre of its own in a way. It's just like it's horror mixed with like politics, and it just like the guy clearly has like something to say. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Again, it's just a way to show that. I mean, he references stuff too. I mean, the last film. I don't want to say anything because I don't know people watch it or not, but like there are like references to things that we've seen before for sure. But
Yeah, definitely.
again, it's how you use those, you know what I mean, when
Yeah,
making the movie.
yeah. I think what was actually very smart in it, in my opinion, that like see, a lot of people that believe in aliens in this, kind of, in this day of age, they say, "Oh, I believe in aliens. I believe." Like, okay, show me your proof. And it's like, why do you think aliens exist? And show me your proof. But in this film, what is very interesting about it is that whenever the alien comes by, the electricity shuts off. So people are like, I saw an alien, by the way. And it says, where's your proof? It's like, well, I can't because every time I see it, my phone shuts off and all the rest of it. Bullshit. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think that was quite smart to that extent to say that, right, okay, no, I genuinely saw it, but it's like, well, there's no way to prove it. Do you know what I mean? Unless you saw it yourself.
Yeah, and there's definitely like a clear way to kind of like add subtext. In a way, just like with Jordan Peele, for me, is like people at this point, like after seeing Get Out and Us, they kind of expect him to have something more to say. So I'm not actually like truly convinced that he just wanted to say something or just like made the film, and it's so ambiguous that it's just like you can read it like in 10,000 different ways, you know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, what we do today, but in general, it's just like when we identify someone as like a talented person, we kind of justify whatever they do, which is kind of like, I always joke about that. Like, what I want to do is just like make great films and then once make a terrible film just on purpose. But I've reached that status that people actually like will find justification for why that film was that bad. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's a funny way to look at it, actually. Yeah, no, because yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, but I think that everyone needs to experience that. Do you know what I mean? Because like, see, as I was saying about Christopher Nolan, like again, like I consider him as a movie god, right? And I mean, what I mean, and then Quentin Tarantino, like he's really good at, like, everyone looks at him as a movie god, right? But then we forget that he made Death Proof, and then he's like, and he admits himself, Death Proof needs to be my worst film, and it needs to be, it needs to be forgotten about because I know what I can bring to the table. And it's the same with the likes of like Spielberg. Like, he was the one that came along and said, right, okay, I can definitely make comedy, and he attempted it, and he made that film 1941, and he completely blew it out of the water because he was too confident within himself with certain things, and then he obviously failed in that aspect. Like, but that being said, I still believe Spielberg can make any genre of film good. Do you know what I mean? If he has the right thing. Do you know what I mean?
The man's living legend. I actually cannot wait to see the what's called Fablemans.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't wait. I mean, it's just like, and it wasn't part of my childhood because I mean I wasn't born in the 80s, so. But I've just recently rewatched ET at the cinema. I actually love when they make remake films. They show older films at the cinema.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, it's amazing
Yeah.
to actually experience the, it's funny because I think I've probably got quite a few of the old films in here, but I actually collect all my movie tickets, so, I've got Logan right there, which is a great film, but, and you would be going for hours and hours if you were talking about that. But basically, Jordan was actually was asking me a question there. What's Davide's favorite genre of film, if he has one?
That's a good question. I would say I really like sort of like philosophical movies, or like the ones that I kind of like could be slowish but have a deeper meaning. For example, I love Her. I love A Ghost Story, which is actually a movie that is about like loss and
Ghost Story is a good film.
Yeah,
Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara.
Yeah, but
fantastic.
They talk literally for like 3 minutes, but the film is just like made such an impression on me. Just like
it's so sad. It's actually such a sad film because like it's like. See oh my god, like, I don't know, it makes me want to cry, one of the scenes, but like, see like, a ghost so the people that passed away, they're wearing these like kind of white robes and with the stereotypical ghosts, and the one that really broke my heart was when Casey Affleck's ghost was talking to a ghost across the other house. And they were waving to each other, and they were like kind of talking their own language. And has the other ghost from across the road's house got knocked down, and then it says, "Looks like they're not coming back," and his thing just kind of drops, and it's like he's moved on. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's actually heartbreaking!" Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like even the scene when he kind of like tries to pick up the bit of shit of paper from the wall, and it's just like. Yeah, I love those kind of films. Like I
love it, man.
I need films that, like, whichever genre, like they have to make an impression of me. They have to stay on me. They have to like
exactly
sort of make you think also a little bit. Just like
Her was also another good one. Like how again another Rooney Mara film, but he Joaquin Phoenix is an incredible, actor, and how he convinces that he can fall in love with this voice in general, and it's actually hard to explain just how good that film actually is. Actually, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but because it's on a relatable topic. Because of course, like love is probably the most relatable of topics, but it's just like even there, it's just like heartbreaking.
Yeah,
and it's again, it's different ways to tell a story. Like you could tell that story in like 10,000 different ways, but it's just like it's its own like kind of film that it's just like it's very, I don't know, I made a very like even that made it like a big impression on me. Yeah, other films that I could think about, probably like Lost in Translation.
I was going to mention that. I thought you were obviously a big fan of Lost in Translation, so.
Yeah, I think I also like how much I like films depends on the moment that I see them in my life, the way that I'm at. I remember like seeing Lost in Translation when I wasn't actually sure what to do, in the future. And it's kind of like one of the big themes of the film. It's kind of like that loneliness and sort of like, I don't know, I was probably come to term with the fact that, when you're younger, you don't have that many responsibilities and you can just focus on what you like. And then you just come to a moment then you realize then you actually have to make big decisions. And it's just kind of like a sort of, and again, that's why I kind of love films, you know what I mean? It's just like sometimes you can at the same time sort of like unplug from real life, but at the same time, they're taking an aspect of real life and you kind of can reflect about that without being like invested yourself into it. Like you realize the sort of unreality of the situation, but at the same time you can kind of relate and think about your own situation in a way.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, yeah. Nah, yeah, I think one that kind of spoke to me in that aspect. I mean, these are different kind of films, but like for me, I've always been quite a success chaser, but I've always been quite a motivated person in general. So like the likes of the Rocky films, have always spoke to me, and what I hate a lot about the audience is that people say, but that doesn't happen in real life, and that, and the next thing, and it's like how they talk so down on that. But like, I feel like these films, like filmmaking and film in general, it should be looked at as like a hope to some extent. It gives you that kind of thought process to think that anything can be possible, as well as because like that's why people grew up with the likes of Spider-Man and all the rest of it, like because it starts with this kind of bullied victim from school that turns into a superhero, and but it's not the point of him kind of just becoming this unstoppable superhero now. It's because how he can move on from his my thing paused there for some reason. Yeah, but that was where my kind of inspiration to some extent comes from, Jacob Tyler. But with the Rocky films and all the rest of it, like how my like the first film is great because there's an underdog story, and there's nothing better to me than an underdog story, and it's quite emotional to some extent for me that proving something wrong and all the rest of it. And in golf, I've continued to try and keep doing that, and hopefully I keep doing it. But then the third one also tells you that why you need to kind of fail sometimes in order to achieve again, because it gets found out, and he gets beat, but then he finally kind of comes back round to he thinks, what, no, I'm going to work 10 times harder than this guy and I'm going to make a comeback. And that to me just that puts shivers down my spine, and like that's why eventually my next passion project after Jacob Tyler would be my own golf film, the Rocky Balboa of golf basically, but again still a real film, if you know what I mean, like.
Yeah. So. No, I get that. I mean, we're shaped by the experience that we have, so everyone has its own sort of like topics and feelings that kind of like touch you in a way. But I think like I really like the question that there's in the chat. There's like, what is your biggest goal in your film?
I was going to get to that. Yeah. Question for both of us. I'll let you go first.
No. Just you have to go first, man. I'm curious.
Nah, I'll let you go first because.
All right. Oh. Yeah, all right. I'll listen to yours. That's fine. I've got to say, for a certain period of time, I thought like recognition is like, you know, of course we want to win awards and like, you know, the Oscars or like the Venice Filmmaking Festival, whatnot. But as I came here to study, I realized that my actual goal would be giving the opportunity to people in my country to do what I couldn't do. So like stay there and study films and sort of like pick up the industry a little bit again. Because I'm not saying that the industry in Italy is bad, because we have talented people. I mean, it's sort of like always the same people though. What you hear internationally, you hear, you know, Guadagnino, you hear Sorrentino, and it's always the same people. So like what I would like to do is like, because the situation the way that it's now is, as I told you, we don't have a film degree by itself. We have something that is called DAMS, which is basically art, music, and spectacle disciplines, which for me is just sort of like a big mess up like of theoretical knowledge that will not help you if you want to become a filmmaker. And at university level, we have some institutions that are very good. For example, we have Cinecittà in Rome. Of course, it's one of the best worldwide. But the thing is, like, the courses take like 6 people a year. And of course, it's like, you know, it's their policy. And maybe they feel like for the amount of personnel that they have or the quality of the education that they want to give, they feel like they need to have this sort of small cohorts, but then you don't give the possibility to people that maybe are not prepared as they start, but are like have the passion to achieve great goals in the future. And so my career goal, my film career goal would actually be founding a school, possibly in Rome, for young filmmakers, young aspiring filmmakers, and also like having the courses not being, you know, too costly. And yeah, that would be probably my goal in the future.
I like that. No, I like how funnily enough, this is another thing that we can relate to, and I think that in the long run, I want to give back, and it's always been quite an important thing to me, and I think that's why we done the fundraiser yesterday, the golf day, because to this amazing cast and crew of Jacob Tyler, I just always want to give back, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't, you know, have the chance to kind of show this film in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, but it's very I think it is. So The Rock once says, you know, it's nice to feel important, but it's important to be nice, you know.
Yeah, just like again, we all have to think about our personal experiences may be similar to other people's, you know what I mean? And for me, there was a period that I thought that I couldn't actually do this. So it's crazy to like see how far I've come, and sometimes I don't even believe that I'm actually like studying film and that I'm going to be a filmmaker for, you know, a living in the future, like hopefully, but I'm sure that I will.
Absolutely.
And so I just want to, you know, it's just like, it's not even about, it's of course giving back to the community, but I literally like on a personal level want to give that opportunity to people, because it's sometimes it's like getting to another place where you don't know anyone and you have made a choice that is kind of like a bold choice to begin with. It kind of can get a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, of course.
So, and when you're in the midst of like applying and all of this, and you don't know how things work, and all these different important schools ask you, you know, give me a portfolio, give me this or give me that, and you have no experience. And maybe you're just like, maybe I just came into this like, you know, too late, or just like, because, you know, some people advocate that film school is not needed. And I kind of agree to a certain point, but then I strongly disagree, because although, of course, you can get knowledge today from, you know, YouTube and studying on yourself, and especially for like films, film school gives you equipment. Film school
Gives
gives
you
you
contacts as well. Yeah, network,
network,
exactly. Network, exactly.
and most important of all, film school gives you time
Yeah,
to
definitely.
do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
Because if you were to do that with another, studying other things and just like, and it gives you also motivation. I feel like, you know, you kind of like pushes
Yeah,
yourself in a way,
definitely.
which is difficult to push yourself at times, you know.
Absolutely.
And so I just want to give that opportunity to people in my country that maybe, you know, are not ready to just go away and, you know, from their families, and maybe need the support of, you know, people that they know around them. And so yeah, definitely that's probably my biggest achievement. Like if I'm actually able to do this in life, then I will be happy. I will be very happy.
Well, I'm confident you will, mate. Like, you know, you just, I think that, more importantly to me, I think that is literally just picking up the camera and doing it. You know what I mean? And just not giving up on it. Because, like, for me, as you were saying, like, we're talking about two different filmmakers looking at each other. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, one goes to film school, one didn't. And I get that, you know, at one point I wanted to go to film school, without a doubt. It's just that um, I wasn't in a good position in life to do so and all the rest of it. So, and I've got other things as well. But I think that more importantly, that I try and stress to people is that you want to be a filmmaker, okay, but understand what you'll have to do first and able to do that. So, for me, when I was growing up, for some reason, I wanted to do YouTube full time. I'm not afraid to really do it now. Like, you know, I probably will eventually do it for like the film aspect, but you need to just accept that it's not always going to be perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to kind of say, you need to just kind of sit yourself down, look yourself in the mirror, and say, right, okay, I am agreeing to all the you know, the where's the words? Basically, just kind of accepting that it's going to be a bit of a bumpy road, you know, and there's no straight line to success. So, but you need to first to say yourself, right, I'm going to pick up this camera and I'm going to do what I love doing, and just do whatever is possible to go forward with it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like it's when you're passionate about something. For me, it's very difficult to think about not doing that for a living, because then you have to think that you're gonna wake up for the next how many years, and like, I don't know, not doing something that I'm passionate about is
Exactly.
I think it would just like kill me in the long run.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Like, I stress about it. I think that there would be nothing worse to just not follow your dream. Do you know what I mean? And we have the possibility of only living one life, so let's just at least give it an attempt. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people will, you know, for the next 60 years, will be looking back saying that I wish I'd done that, and I should have done it. But the real people do it. Do you know what I mean?
And then,
so,
I mean, in the end, if it doesn't work out, at least you try, you know?
Exactly. Like, that's exactly it, mate. Like, I can't stress that enough to anyone. So
it's a thing of like just reinventing yourself in case. But you see if like you'll see if like that if that doesn't work out, of course, like, you know, it can happen. It's just a way of accept it with, you know, a peace of mind, and but at least again you've done it. At least like you can say that you've done it.
But, exactly.
Yeah.
So, right, Jordan. Right, okay. So my biggest goal, in all honesty, is just to basically just go big or go home. And as we were just saying there, like, I'm going to just continue to follow my passion, make projects that I love doing. One day stand up on that stage on the Academy, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, everything. Like, that's the goal in life, you know. Like, I don't think that you should settle for one thing. You should always be open to the unlimited possibilities that you can achieve in life. And I think that for me, I'm still a golfer as well. So like I love to achieve in golf and still work hard in that. And you know, and but for film, yeah, like get this film to Glasgow Film Festival, if not better, and then just as I said, just keep doing what I love doing. We've got a production company, obviously now called Apple Tree Pictures. In all real sense, I would like to grow in that. Hopefully, get our own studio, office, you know, building, getting people like yourself involved, getting people like Jordan involved, getting like just giving everyone an opportunity for the industry of film that people actually love. Do you know what I mean? Because Jordan's a great media person. I'm sure he has other goals in life, but he's awesome in the media side. I want to, you know, Apple Tree to lift off to a point that I can financially just kind of be sorted to kind of give everyone that opportunity going forward. And yeah, just like literally just no excuses, man. Just like get the head down, keep writing, write the passion projects, go and do the passion projects, and just and show it. And yeah, like literally just it's just unlimited. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got so many goals in life, and but more importantly, you just need to kind of. I think my biggest thing you need to work hard at what you love doing. Do you know what I mean? So
Of course.
yeah, so basically building on Apple Tree would be huge. So and going forward, basically like you'll know when you're satisfied. You know what I mean? Everyone will know, and then you're just like, you know what, I just want to keep going. I want to keep going with it. I can't settle still. I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah, I feel I'll never be satisfied, but that's fine. I mean, it's what keeps you going in a way.
Never satisfied. Never
that's
satisfied. Good. Never. Literally, just. But yeah, biggest goal is just to keep going further and further. It's like, you know, it's like similar to Dwayne Johnson. He does many things now. And the thing is, a lot of people kind of look at Dwayne Johnson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you know some of these other kind of big stars. They don't take them serious, and it's like, well, it's crazy because see, at the end of the day, he's one of the biggest movie stars in the world now. But he also makes music now. He's at the gym every single bloody morning, like so early doing it, and then he's on filming for 13 hours a day and all the rest of it, and then he's back with his wife and kids. And he was doing American football at one point, and you know, like it's just like for me that's kind of the same. But I'm not comparing myself to Dwayne Johnson, but I think it's just very important to kind of just you know work hard at everything you love doing. So
yeah, no, definitely, I agree.
If you got any ideas for your next fundraiser for Jacob Tyler, so for the fundraisers, I'm actually going to just try and make it a yearly thing. I'm going to try and make it a yearly thing. And, well, maybe, like, you know, just kind of have a select days of, like, okay, we can do this, we can do that. And we'll just, whatever's the right decision, we'll keep doing it, basically. So, but yeah. But there was a question that I was thinking. I mean, well, actually, first of all, like, what do you think's next for you then, Davide? Like, as our passion project kind of lingering about that you're just waiting for the right moment to make?
I have an idea at the moment. I don't know how good that is, but I try to develop that when I get time. It's basically about inspire loosely on. I've got a best friend that I've known since I was born. So it's been. In November, I'm going to be 20, and it's going to be 20 years that we've known each other.
Class.
So I was possibly wanting to make a movie, short movie, not something too serious. That kind of reflects, you know, how important these people are in your life, and
of course,
whether you're aware of it or you know not. Then so it's I don't know, for me it's something special. I can just like value it enough. Like I've literally known this person since when I was born. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah.
And it kind of struck me because last year was the first time that we didn't celebrate our birthdays together because I was here and he was back in Rome.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you know, it kind of like hits you.
It's a
and
bummer.
It's like, now it's just like, gave me an idea of like, I probably need to make something of this. Because again, as I told you before, it's just like your life experience that kind of shape you. So whatever you make, it's always got a touch of you in it. So yeah, that's probably me in the future.
That's class, because to be honest with you, like, I think the golfer project that, you know, I've finished the script and it's been finished for at least 4 years now. Well, no, actually more than 4 years, maybe about 8 years now, and I've improved on it each time. But I feel like this is as good as it gets now. But it values friendship in it as well, because there's this guy who's succeeding so much. Do you know what I mean? And in golf and all the rest of it, that he ends up hitting a brick wall at one point, but then he realizes that he's kind of hitting a very ungrateful phase, and his best friend has to kind of wake him up to think that, right, okay, at the end of the day, one's playing professional golf for a living in the biggest tours and the biggest, you know, on the biggest stage, while one has now got a baby and a job that minimum wage, trying to feed the wife and kid. You know what I mean? So it was a very, you know, that was one thing that I feel like with that next project is going to be very important to kind of address. You know what I mean? So
I wish you the very best of luck on that.
Of course. Well, hopefully you'll be obviously a part of it, you know. So, and as I say,
Definitely.
like with the goal situation, like I want to eventually just be like, right, okay, Davide, your travel's sorted. You're coming over to Scotland. We're filming for 3 months, and you'll be paid every single day. You'll be treated like a king, and so will every other role in this film and cast member. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. So, yeah, that's the goal. You know, just for it to be an everyday job.
Yeah, you'll get there for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. You just gotta do it. But yeah. So I was gonna ask you the favorite film of all time, and obviously it's La La Land. I mean, we've already kind of talked about it many times. I think that Whiplash is also just fantastic. Like, again, it's a film that spoke to me a lot about the realism. You know what I mean? Like how there's a lot of kind of like very serious moments, and like moments that kind of switch you off and stuff, but it's just crazy good, isn't it? It's a crazy good film.
There's another thing that is worth mentioning for me, that it's Nuovo Cinema Paradiso.
Cinema Paradiso, yeah. We talked about that actually. It's a great film. That's a beautiful film.
One kind of like my co-favorite with La La Land. Definitely.
Yeah.
I love nostalgia film.
Yeah. Definitely for me, my film always changes, but I've settled with Prisoners without a doubt, and I think that Mitchell, you told me your favourite film was Sharknado.
I don't blame you. I don't blame that. Masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece, yeah. Like, honestly, like I'm just very angry that I didn't come up with that idea first. So, and then they've went on to make 6 of them, and somehow I don't know how they're not broke making them.
What do you know?
Exactly. But I've definitely got a top 5. I've got a top 5. Prisoners, The Dark Knight, Back to the Future, Blade Runner, and it has to be Rocky, man. Like Rocky, you know, and I'm not going to name a specific one, but, you know, Rocky, like those franchises, you know, I could go top 25, I could go 50. I'm sure we both can, you know what I mean? So, but here's the next question. What do you call it? What was the best cinema experience you've ever, like, kind of witnessed?
I gotta say La La Land.
Yeah, well,
Rome,
I mean, yeah, exactly.
But after that, I want to say I watched Drive My Car here in Edinburgh, and I watched it in Japanese with English subtitles. That was definitely a great experience. I was a cameo. Yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah, No, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that what was, you know, what film really took me by surprise was probably what's the Korean film again?
Parasite.
Parasite. Fantastic, and I think that that film is very important in my opinion, because I think that subtitle films are very like kind of switched off, and people say I'm not really a big fan of subtitle films, but then they watched Parasite and they're like, oh my god, like this is why you need to get into and I've been telling people for ages, this is why you need to watch Seven Samurai, you need to watch, you know, you need to watch so many films like that, Memories of Murder, you know, like stuff like that, you know what I mean? And my favorite, what the thing is, like for me, my favorite experience, man. What about like? I mean, I think so. I've had many great experiences. Obviously, funnily enough, see when I first watched Batman Begins on the big screen for the first time, I was scared because I was quite young at the time, and I was scared easily with a lot of things. And that film kind of rubbed me the wrong way to some extent. And then I watched it today. I'm like, oh my god, it's a goddamn masterpiece. But then I think the first Tobey Spider-Man really moved me as well. But the ultimate,
yeah, I
the
love
ultimate
the first trilogy for Spider-Man. That's good. Spider-Man 2 is my favorite.
Spider-Man 2. Oh no, it's a masterpiece. Like, that's the best one without a doubt. But I must admit, mate, like, you know, Endgame was a good experience because, you know, the reactions and all the rest of it that I hear from behind me was amazing. But for me, a very special one that kind of stands out for me in my heart was probably No Way Home. Because when you grew up with all three Spider-Man and all the rest of it, it's
I've
just
watched
crazy
it.
to
Actually,
think.
funny that you should mention that. I watched it the second day that it went out in Rome, and the theater was just like jam-packed. And this is like post-COVID, so it's just like
Yeah, it was like
amazing. And
still COVID about, yeah, I know.
people were just like screaming and like
Yeah,
clapping, and yeah, never. That's interactive experience. Definitely, that's the best one that I've had. Personal experience, I would say the other two, but
yeah,
it's cool to share, that sort of love for a certain
yeah.
character with other people, for sure.
You should, yeah.
The film itself wasn't like nothing special, but
Yeah, I think it was still. I would still give it a good 8 out of 10.
it was a good film. It was
There's
a
a
good
few
film,
there's a
but
few missing. I think though that like the reason I could go on to that, but like the reason why that was probably my biggest experience was because for a long time hearing these rumors that we're going to have Garfield, Toby, and like sharing the screen with each other, I was just like, no way, it can't happen, can it? And then I'm just like, babe, me and Liv went to the cinema and saw it. I'm just like, I'm like, babe, like they're actually gonna be in this film. They're actually gonna be in this film. I know they're gonna be in this film, and we're not sure about that. And I'm like, they're gonna be in this film, aren't they? And then once I saw that portal open, knowing that it's not Tom at the end of that alleyway, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's Andrew, oh my god, no way. And then I see him come, and I'm like, how is this real? It looks like a photoshopped version of Andrew Garfield. Like, it just didn't. Like, how is it possible? And then because the thing was, Tobey Maguire wasn't doing anything for a long time either, was he? And then seeing him back was just something special as well. But Willem Dafoe, like, he's in so many of my great like favorite films as well, but he killed it. Like, he just completely kills it. Like, how he goes from just snaps into that villain mode. And this is why I love acting as well, and love, you know, showing my emotion to film as well, because once he's pretending to be Norman, then he just kind of switches to that Green Goblin. You know, it's a neat trick, that sense of yours. And I literally shivered, goosebumps down my spine. It was
that's great
incredible.
filmmaking. Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
good. It's definitely very good.
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean that's the beauty of going to watch the movie to the cinema. You know, you don't experience that in your house. Although, I mean, it's still a great experience always, but it's not the same, definitely. No.
I don't like that I have to mention superhero films too much, because the thing is that because outside of that spectrum, there's too many good films. But there's a question for you: what was your best home experience in cinema?
You mean at my house, like watching
Yeah,
film?
when you've shoved on the DVD or you've shoved it on a streaming platform and you watch the film and you're like, wow.
That's a good question. I would say watching Star Wars with my younger brother.
Yeah, what one?
First one?
A New Hope?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Rennie on this chat, he's the biggest Star Wars fan there is, so like he would bite your ear off about it. It's amazing. I love the Star Wars films, and I love I had one in mind. The scariest. I have a scary experience, but the mind-boggling experience for me was probably Fight Club. When I watched Fight Club for the first time in home, I was like, what is happening here? Like, what is happening? And then when I just watched it, I'm just like, oh my God, how good was that fucking film? Do you know what I mean? It was just amazing. And for me, when the whole Zack Snyder Justice League came out, that's something that will always hold to my heart, and another kind of topic for another day. But yeah, when I especially when I first watched, a great experience for me was probably Seven Samurai. I think that's a big film that kind of was a good home experience for me. So,
Yeah.
have you ever watched Seven
Kurosawa.
Samurai?
No, but I've
Kurosawa,
watched.
master.
I love Rashomon. I'd watch for uni. Love the film. Yeah, that's
See,
very good.
just the other day I had the bloody tapes here as well for Kurosawa's stuff, and of course I just move it the day of me on this live. But I think there was. This is probably the last subject that I'll probably end it on, because I think this is very important to me, because like I make horror films, but as well, what do you think is the scary? Like, in all honesty, what is the scariest film that you've ever witnessed?
That's definitely a good question. I'll have to think of that, because I'm not actually the biggest horror watcher. But there's this film, but I know there's one that I've always told that it actually kind of like struck with me, but I don't remember it right now. So I'll actually let you go first, and then I'll just try and think about which one it was. But I'm sure there's one that it was actually like kind of proved me in a way. I don't remember the name. I don't know why it's just like slipping my head right now.
My scariest movie experience ever was in my English class in school, in high school. And I question to this day, how can you actually show this to students? It's incredible, who are 15, 16 years old. And to this day, sometimes I still have the same shaky feeling down my spine, and it has to be the original. And it's not the one you're thinking of, but the original Woman in Black. Woman in Black. It was a British TV film, and Daniel Radcliffe done the remake. And that was just as scary, because when I watched that, and when I watched that on the big screen and all the rest of it, it was still a very scary film, and that shook me for weeks as well. But because it takes a lot from the original. But this film, man, honestly, like, it's just how simple you can make a horror film so scary. And like,
Actually, no, I remember the. I mean, it's probably not the film that I was thinking of, but actually, I feel like this was probably the most disturbing thing that I've ever seen. Gotta go with The Shining.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's in my top 10.
I gotta go with The Shining. I love Stephen King's books, and I think Kubrick has made like quintessential horror film. That's just
Yeah.
like disturbing.
Or
That's not even scary. That's just plain
it's
disturbing.
disturbing, exactly. And I think that the image in The Shining that makes me, you know, shove it down my spine as well is when he freezes to death. See when he freezes and that just I couldn't get that out of my head for a while. I actually didn't trust Jack Nicholson in general. Like when I saw him win an Academy Award, I'm like, no, you're a psychopath. I know you're a psychopath in real life. Like you've convinced me so much in that film that you're literally a psychopath. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't think I trusted him for a while.
The shot that I really like about this film is like when he pushes into like him just staring into the void in a way.
Yeah,
You kind of see the switch, and it's just like he's incredible.
It's crazy.
He's just playing incredible, and Kubrick is just like, I mean, Kubrick is Kubrick. Like, what can you say about Kubrick?
He's just he's a master of his class. Space Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally nothing to say. Like,
yeah,
just
he's one of my
watch the
favorites.
product. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. But with Woman in Black, that was like crazy because like it honestly has one of the probably scariest jump scares I've ever had in my life. And you know, I thought Alien was bad, but this film, oh my god! Like there's just this part that the guy's struggling to sleep. A bit of a spoiler, but I'll let you kind of be the judge of it. And he's struggling to sleep, and he finds like this toy, and he's hearing like these kids talk, but he can't hear them, kind of thing. And it's like a kid's toy from like a certain house. But then just all of a sudden, his windows thingy open, and the woman in black just kind of comes through the window, and she has like this very pale makeup on with the kind of black outlines and everything. And she's just screaming in the most uncomfortable way possible, kind of like smiling, and like, you know, with the wide eyes. And for me, back in high, everyone laughed at me in class because I was shit scared, and I was like, people got frightened and stuff, but I took that badly, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was probably the scariest thing I've ever experienced when it came to film. But then those kind of films still make me intrigued when it comes to film, because it gives you, you know, a bit of a thrive off of it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's fair enough.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, but yeah, man. So, but like, I think there should be a part 2 to this filmmaker, because I think we've, you know, not covered absolutely everything.
Whenever
I
you
was a
want.
wee bit, yeah, absolutely, because I was a wee bit unprepared today with my questions and all the rest of it. But I feel like there needs to be a different, you know, a different life. Funnily enough, I'm going out for an Italian tonight with Liv, so
That's always a good choice.
yeah, it's the easiest choice, mate. That's for sure.
It is.
You know,
Right.
yeah, man.
It's been literally a pleasure.
As always, mate.
Yeah, I hope we'll do this again. Definitely.
No, definitely. We'll sort it out for the next coming weeks or something, and I hope that we can. And we'll just keep in contact because, you know, for the people who are watching, we also work with each other, so it's not like we're just strangers. Do you know what I mean? So we text on a regular basis. So yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, it's because we love doing this, don't we? Like we were all talking before this, saying that how much we love, you know, variety fair, like, you know, the filmmakers and filmmakers and the Hollywood Reporter roundtable and stuff, you know. So. It would be interesting to actually have an episode that I can get multiple people on as well. That's really good, you know what I mean? So
yeah, we'll try to set this up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's Reese just came onto the live. He's coming up next as well. We've got a filmmakers live to do with him as well. So yeah, man. But yeah, mate, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Same. Thank you.
And yeah, we'll get that sorted.
See you next time then.
Yep, absolutely. And if it's not before it, then I'll see you in the fourth, man, and I'll text and call you in between. Okay.
Definitely. All right. Have a nice
night.
All right,
my friend.
Thank you again.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care, man.